So interesting. My question actually is a follow-up to that conversation. I think probably when I was growing up, it was all pencils and erasers and paper, but nowadays there's a plethora of tools that are available. When you're drawing, what is the process, A? I mean, do you start with paper and pencil and then move to the computer, or do you just jump in and do the computer, and then when you're getting it to whoever is going to process it, if it were, what do they expect?
I think you're going
to
get...
They expect you to have it in that digital form?
You're going to get 4 very different answers here. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah. As far as for me, I think the only time within the last maybe like 5 years or so that I've drawn on paper is at these conventions, just because it's, they're convention sketches and I'll do them right there. But when I'm doing actual like comic work or anything like that, or commissions that I'll mail to people or anything, I do everything digitally. I don't even own pencils or paper or anything like that at home unless I'm going to use them at conventions. I just do everything, like I have a monitor, I draw my pencils, I draw my roughs straight on there, which is super easy. Like if you have to change things or tweak things that you maybe messed up on, that instead of erasing you can just copy paste, and it's like really easy to do stuff like that. But yeah, I do everything digitally, so I don't really mess with that kind of stuff anymore, which as far as like what people, comic editors would expect, they expect typically like scans, digital files or anything like that. I don't think really very many people mail their pages in anymore to the publishers or anything like that.
So then are the pages done? When you say scan the pages, is that then, are you referring to actually doing on paper and scanning it in?
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys, they still work traditionally and with ink on paper, and it'll scan it and it'll make it a digital image, which will then be sent to guys like me, a colorist, who will add color, and then the guys who will digitally add in the word balloons and all that kind of stuff. And
so then you guys don't add the color in. I mean, the color is actually done digitally, all of it.
Yeah, I think it's very rare nowadays that any color is traditional.
Occasionally you'll run into somebody who does like watercolor or something.
Special covers like Alex Ross.
Yeah, but it's rare.
But yeah.
Black Sad's like one of them too. Does everything watercolor. If you ever check out that comic.
So then when you guys draw, then if you scan it in, then do those digital tools, can you say, okay, now hit perspective and boom, it'll actually do that, and then you fudge it from there?
Like for me, it's I work entirely digitally too. I have a Cintiq, where it's just basically a computer screen. It's just basically a drawing computer screen. It's like a tablet. You draw on it. You can erase. You can change anything, and it's like I go from layouts to pencils to inks all digitally. And commissions, like what Josh said, commissions I strictly keep to traditional. Like I actually own paper and pencils. But for me, it's entirely digital, and I know, like, when I started working with my editor, like with John, he expected to see that, like, and even I have a sketchbook, I own a sketchbook, but I don't use it to draw anything. I actually draw on my tablet instead. Like, that's how digital I am. I kind of just don't even kind of grasp with that, like, oh, I have a sketchbook in there, maybe I should try drawing on that for once. No, I've completely gone to drawing digitally. And I guess for the reason why I do is because it's actually a little bit cheaper for me to deal with actually.
Yeah, I do mostly traditional in the final product, but I've done a few pages all digitally, but I start every page digitally. I have the Cintiq as well. I just a screen you draw right on. All of my rough drawings are done on there, and then like you said, if you're sketching it in like, oh, Optimus Prime, he should really be a little bigger, instead of like, erase it, draw him again, you just kind of grab him, enlarge him, move him to the left, whatever. So when you're getting your layout down, it's all digital. But then I don't get too tight on that. It's very rough, but once the layout is where I want it to be, then I print it out on 11x17 comic boards, and I tighten up the pencils, and then I ink over that traditionally. And when that's done, I take it to my scanner, scan it back in to create that digital file to send off to the colorist.
And what's what you consider the industry product that you use to draw? I mean, is there a standard that everybody pretty much uses, or is it kind of all over the place when it comes to digital
Manga
software
Studio.
that does that?
You're talking about the digital
Yeah, drawing. Like you
products?
said, you're drawing digitally. Is there like
Oh.
a standard software, that package that everybody uses, or is there, you know?
It's all over the place. Like there's Sai, there's Photoshop, there's Manga Studio. Some people started using Autodesk programs, which is this up and coming one, I guess. It's kind of like this sketch program, which with a lot more, but it's getting there.
Yeah, mine's just like an ancient version of Photoshop. You know, it still has like hieroglyphics in it.
Yeah, I'm actually similar to Casey. I come from the world of doing everything traditionally. I, drew with pencils on paper and ink for years. And when I was first doing comics, that's how I was doing it. I'd just rough on the board, draw on the board in pencil, ink it, and then scan the board and send the file. But lately I got a Cintiq and I still do my roughs by hand just because, I don't know, I can take them to the coffee shop and just kind of sit there and like doodle. So I do really small thumbnail roughs to get an idea of where everything's going to go. And then I go into like a layout stage and that's all digital. And that's where I was talking about being able to do perspective and stuff. You can kind of do that as a layout. I do digital pencils, so I do all the pencils in Manga Studio. And then when I have a final page there, I print it out onto a comic board and ink it traditionally. Partly because I'm still way more comfortable. Like I just can't get good inks out of digital programs for some reason. I don't have the control. I can get good sketchy pencils, but then for really clean ink work, I need to use traditional media. Yeah.
Thank you.